Welcome back, troops, to Let's Tab 59. What a cracking day. So, what I want to chat to you about is, I'll be interested in your thoughts, of course. Sorry about the sun there. Sun on my back, lovely. Do you think the United Kingdom's armed forces, His Majesty's armed forces, do you think we're ready for war? I mean, we should always be. It's the first role of any government, isn't it? The protection of sovereign territory, the nation. Are we big enough for war? Are we strong enough? Have we got enough industry? There's all sorts of talk about our steel industry at the moment, which is crucial if we're going to be in a war at some stage. So it's not just a matter of, is the army big enough? Is the Air Force big enough? Are we equipped enough? Is our Royal Navy big enough and ready enough for war? It's whether our industry, our defence industry, could sustain a prolonged war. Now, of course, what we have to remember is, obviously, we're a part of NATO. And therefore, if we were to go to war, we imagine that we're going to go with our NATO partners. Is there a chance of the UK going to war as a standalone war, a conventional standalone war where it's not got NATO involvement? For example, the Falkland Islands. We went to war in 1982 to recapture the Falkland Islands from Argentina, and we went alone. Yes, we had a little bit of support, I believe. I'm right, put me wrong, prove me wrong, put me right, whatever. I think I'm right in saying that the United States equipped us with Sidewinder missiles for the Harriers, and that was quite crucial in helping to defeat, or helping to win the air war, get air superiority over the Falklands. But apart from that, the UK pretty much stood alone. And we went down, and it was a close run thing, as you know, but the guys did it. So, first question is then, could the United Kingdom go to war similar to that alone without NATO support? So the only time I could see that happening was if Argentina was foolhardy enough to use military resources to capture the Falkland Islands, or attempt to capture the Falkland Islands. Now, if you look at the Argentinian forces, they're pretty well naff at the moment. Their air force is very out of date. Having said that, there's rumours that Denmark wants to sell some F-16s to Argentina. I don't know how many. But of course, to get approval to do that, has to be backed by America, because you can't just sell off American equipment that's sold to you. You can't just then flog it onto another country without their approval. Some clause in it when you buy that kit. But I think America has said, yeah, they don't mind helping to update the Argentinian Air Force. So the Argentinians could potentially have some F-16s. I don't know how many, and I don't know when. But the Argentine Navy, I mean, they've got to get their troops there, remember, from Argentina mainland, like they did in 82. They've got to get their forces there. And the Argentine Navy is pretty naff. So, as we stand at the moment, I don't believe that Argentina has got enough military might to take the Falklands away from us. I don't think they can do it today, 2024, or 2025, to be honest. It's going to be a while before. And I think that we'll be monitoring that pretty close, and we get an understanding if they're building their forces up. And I think that's why maybe the garrison down at Falklands, you know, we've only got, was it a company strength of infantry down there? Maybe 150 lads in the infantry down there. The Air Force is a big thing down there for us, obviously. Got a little bit of naval assets. And of course, the Air Force is the biggest thing. We've got that down there. And we've got good air defence. We've got good air defence systems down there. So it's going to be very difficult. And we'd get an idea. We could reinforce that. Still got Ascension, etc. So I think we'd have an eye on that. And if Argentina started to update their forces and grow their navy and grow their air force and come up to a better generation of fighter aircraft, attack aircraft. And I think we'd have our eye on that, and we could you know, make arrangements to make sure we could counter that threat. So I don't think that we're going to go to a war over the Falklands in the near future or anytime soon. So that leaves us then in the situation, is the United Kingdom forces, like I say, big enough to go to war? And if we did go, it would be as a NATO partner. Let's talk about a conventional war. And I suppose the obvious one is be a ground war, or well, it could be ground air war as well, naval war, but a conventional war in Europe. Are we big enough to do that? Because someone said that the British Army, the regular British Army, you could get them all inside Wembley Stadium. That's a bit worrying. However, we have got quality. That's one thing we have got. We might not have a lot, but we have got quite well equipped armed forces when you compare us to some of the other nations that could be a threat. And of course, we've got all our NATO partners around us, 30 odd countries. So when you pull that together, we're sort of like 3.5 million strong in NATO forces, about 3.5 million in strength. That's quite a lot. Then of course you've got all your reserve bits and pieces as well. So if we went to war, we wouldn't have to worry too much about our manpower because we're just a small cog in the big wheel of NATO. As far as industry goes, we wouldn't have to worry too much again about producing all the steel to make more ships and more aircraft, more tanks, more equipment. Because again, all the other NATO countries, I mean, we get most of our steel at the moment. A lot of people think it's all Chinese. Yes, China owns some of our steel industry in this country. But we actually get most of our steel, I believe, from Germany. So I don't think that's going to be a problem either. In regards to a nuclear conflict, if we're in a big conflict and it went nuclear, well, obviously as America, we've got our own nuclear deterrent as well. And of course, so are the French. So I think, although we don't look big enough on our own, when you look at it on paper, our armed forces, I think that together with NATO, we've got enough to go to war if we had to. As horrible as that sounds. Now, of course, the other threat, you've got China, for instance. They're getting bigger. Chinese armed forces are getting bigger. And that could be a bit of a worry. However, there's lots of rumours that Chinese systems aren't that good. Got a lot of it, but their systems in place aren't that good. And I think most of the conflict's going to be cyber, isn't it? There's going to be a lot of cyber stuff and space stuff. Yeah, they're also talking, I've been looking at this a little bit. They're also now talking of drones. See a lot of that on the TV and on YouTube, etc., of drones, especially in the Ukraine-Russian war. But also, and they've got naval, got water drones now that can attack ships. They're also on about submarine drones, actual submarines that are unmanned, that can go around and do all sorts of stuff, just like a drone would in the air. And space drones. There's one for you. Space drones. I think our biggest worry, if we went into a conventional war, is how much air defence protection the UK mainland would have. Because I think that could be one of our weakest points. I think a potential enemy would definitely want to take out, I'm talking conventionally now, not nuclear. I definitely think that we would have a problem. When you look at these bits and pieces on the TV at the moment of these mass drone attacks and mass missile attacks that say, for instance, Iran and Hamas and that firing into Israel, and Israel have got this like big dome, they call it this Iron Dome, don't they, taking down all these missiles. You can see them incoming. And the same out in Ukraine, we see these massive drone attacks and missile attacks coming over. That would be our worry, I think, is what is our air defence system? Because, yeah, we've got a few typhoons that can go up and do combat air patrols around and try and intercept stuff that's coming over, say, from Eastern Europe, for instance, from Russia. How are we going to deal with all that? Have we got an Iron Dome? Have we got anything like that? Because I'm not convinced we have. I don't think we've got something like that. And that's going to be a bit of a worry. All these missiles and drones coming over onto the country, yeah, we've been fighting that in Europe or whatever. But a hostile nation's going to want to attack UK. Well, not just UK, other countries in NATO and Europe as well. So that's my worry. What have we got back here? What air defence or missile defence system has the United Kingdom mainland got? I think that's where we might be a bit lacking. We might be, whether our NATO allies would set up some sort of missile defence or air defence systems on UK mainland to support us, to keep us safe. Because at the end of the day, in the eyes of the Americans, in a way, United Kingdom is a great base. It's an aircraft carrier, isn't it, more or less? You know, they're surrounded by a bit of water, and we've got all the air bases here. So maybe if a conventional war happened like that, America would have a lot more assets in Europe, and especially in the United Kingdom. We've already got some here on our airfield, so I think that would be bolstered up. And of course, if they were going to bring more assets over with them to the UK to launch attacks from here into Europe, maybe they would bring with them some sort of similar defensive system. Whether that defensive system would be mainly protect their airfields and their assets where they're operating from, or whether it's a nationwide defence, I don't know, I wonder. Interested on your thoughts, because, like I say, I think we could be all right. I think we're big enough and got enough kit to be part of NATO and go to war. I don't think that's a problem. I don't think Argentina at the moment would be a problem for us as a standalone war. But I do think that where we're lacking at the moment is air defence, missile defence systems on UK mainland. Because that's what the public want to know, don't they? You want to know if you live near an airfield, like I do, or other military or power installation, you know, is that going to be protected? No one ever seems to talk about that, do they? For whatever reason. So anyway, a few things for you to have a think about maybe. And if you want to comment on it, that would be great. I'll be very interested to know. So what a cracking day here, look at this. Beautiful. I can hear lawnmowers going everywhere and strimmers going, people are still working on the gardens. So if you're new to my channel and you haven't subscribed, please consider it. I'm not saying do it, I'm saying consider it. But thanks for your support so far. Some more videos coming up in the pipeline. We're approaching remembrance. My poppies fell off back there. I didn't even notice it falling off. It's a bit windy, I didn't pin it on properly. I hope you're buying your poppies, those that want to show you support for the poppy appeal. It's not everyone's cup of tea, I know. Anyway, thanks for listening. Until next time, troops, and it won't be long, from beautiful sunny Lincolnshire and United Kingdom, stay safe and remember, less tab.